Good afternoon. It's Sunday the 23rd, and this is your Association Board Chair, Tim Conley, sending out my usual video report follow-up to the board meeting that we had. Turns out about 6 days ago, I think it was on the 17th. There's been a meeting or two and a lot of activity since then, so I'll try to bring the membership up to date on some key issues. Before I get to the building repair and special assessment stuff, let me offer you an update on the damage to the west balconies that was brought by the previous contractor we had. We are seeking damages from Ambience Construction. It's not a lawsuit yet. We're simply filing a claim with their insurance. They are to try to recoup the work that they did back there. That is with an attorney. We got an estimate to repair the damage to the wall back there, and that is $1.75 million. So the west side of the building alone, which holds the decks with which we overlook the ocean, needs $1.75 million worth of repair. The decks that are back there were not installed properly. They were installed over issues. A lot of stuff was papered over. At any rate, that's progressing. I can't say that we will get that, or what we'll ask, but we are proceeding to try to recoup that amount of money down there. We're specifically advised, by the way, not to claim with our own building insurance. We don't want to file with our own insurance and have them pursue the contractor's insurance. That's not the legal strategy we're advised. The concern is another drastic spike in our premiums, like the last one that resulted in the need for a special assessment. Our premiums went way up, as you'll recall. That's what the last assessment was for, 1 year, just to cover that spike because it wasn't budgeted. It is getting harder and harder to insure condominium buildings, especially as they become rental dominated, which we are. The majority of our units now are rentals. So we don't want to mess with the insurance in the building. At any rate, it is in the hands of our attorney to try to recoup the stuff on the west. Our attorney should have an update on that soon. I emailed him. That's sort of ongoing board work. The chair is the point of contact. So most of the meeting last Monday was given over to the discussion of choosing a construction company for our repairs. We started with 4 bids. Charter Construction was chosen. Charter came in $300,000 less than the other finalists. We had 2 finalists. That is $4,065,000 to repair the whole building, including the parking garage, the walking decks, the west wall, the north wall, pretty much everything that is damaged will be repaired for $4,065,000. That's $2 million lower than the highest bid that we got. We started out with 4 bids. We were going to try to get one of the higher bidders to come down, but we're assured by our engineering firm nobody's going to lower down $2 million to get as low as Charter is. So we have been vetting them very closely and making sure that as we begin the contracting process with them, that all our ducks in a row. And this is where it really helped to have so many members at the last meeting. There was some great input from members who are not on the board who just had good questions because of the experience they've had with contracting and et cetera. That $4,065,000 is everything. There was a concern at the meeting. This is the kind of thing that was raised by members. Was this fixed cost versus a time and effort type contract? And we knew as a board with our engineering firm that $3.1 million of what would be a $4 million contract is fixed. Those numbers won't change. That is the raw cost of fixing certain things, etc. The time and effort part of the contract is about another $775,000, and that's for allowances because we don't know what they're going to find once they start digging in. So we allow a certain amount of money, if necessary, to be spent on that. My big concern is what the insects on the north end have been chewing on and how far they got. Well, hopefully no further than we know, but let's see. So these are needed. The allowances are needed and ordered and billed at time and effort following our approval. They don't have an automatic dip into $775,000 worth of elective work, what they find and what they propose to do. And it's these are it's kind of the guesstimate part of the budget. We'll know it's going to be this, but it could be that when we get to it. But the engineering company oversights that and permits that. The construction company can't do anything without the engineers watching what they're doing, making sure that they're using the money and getting approval. If anything goes over that 775, even it's line itemed out, if any one line goes over that, it has to be approved by the engineering and it has to be approved by the board, which will likely be me as I live here. But that's the way that that money would be managed in a contract with them. The rest of the cost of the whole project built into that 4 million is the cost of engineering, oversight and permitting. There will be some financing costs. I'm not going to say much about financing. We have a finance committee of Lori Carambulis, our treasurer, Greg Watson, Susan Shank, Shannon Mitchell, and Rita Leary. They're hard at work on financing, and we do have options. In fact, interest rates dropped just a little bit. So we got it all lined out, what has to be done. We know what it's going to cost, and now we're preparing to ask the members to approve our borrowing enough to do that. So we're lining up a special assessment. The board will send out a letter of explanation to vote on the special assessment. You can expect that shortly. The only thing holding that up is getting a final cost per unit number, and I think that may have actually been done. Things moved very quickly this week. I kept thinking, after this, I'll talk to the members. After this, so it's an active process. Some units will pay the full assessment. The remainder can join the financing pool and pay quarterly over the life of the anticipated loan. The only variable cost per unit is how many windows you have, windows and doors, because those are going to be built separately to the unit. It's included in that estimate, but that's the piece that'll be a little bit different. So it was a long meeting Monday, a full 2 hours without a break. It's a break I admittedly should have called for. At any rate, near the end, your faithful board chair got exhausted, and I went up excusing myself and having Vice Chair Nini graciously continue facilitating. In 3 years as board chair, I have not had a meeting which I found as stressful as that. It just was, because it's crunch time on our project we've been working on for a long time, and I think nerves were running a little high, so including mine. So our next meeting is scheduled for April 1st. I encourage everybody to attend and be heard. The agenda will be out shortly. We'll be sure to stay on agenda and complete our meeting at a reasonable time. We're taking enough breaks that nobody gets exhausted. That will be followed shortly in April by our annual meeting. We have, I think, one candidate for an open board seat. If you're interested in running for the board, declare and run at any time. But we have one seat being vacated by Wendy after her service. Thanks so much. And somebody's running for that. So we'll cover that at the annual meeting. So there'll be a board meeting coming up, followed by the annual meeting, and lots of opportunity to communicate and talk with us about this massive project that we really have to undertake. I keep this little thing I keep that over on my window just to remind me of why me and the board are working so hard to get this done, so that nothing collapses around here. At any rate, one other thing, just and you'll know this if you in the meetings, we've discussed the impact on the units. You will know when the walkway in front of your unit is going to be deconstructed and rebuilt. You'll know when your deck is going to be done. You'll actually know when they're doing the walls adjacent to your unit, so you can move stuff down. There's a communications officer who's in charge of that, and they're going to work very closely with our management company so that you know what's going on in your building, and especially adjacent to your unit. There'll be some impact on the rentals. We already had a meeting with Troy Foster and Kim from Surf Tides Plaza Rentals. They expect to work around this to the degree possible. Construction would start this summer. It would last about 6 months. 6 is the best, and we're gonna try to get them to stick to that. If there's some odds and ends and cleanup that spills into the 7-month, okay, but it really will take spring into the summer and be done by the fall. So that's where we stand with the whole thing. You'll be getting a lot of communication from us about the special assessment and agendas and stuff. I just suggest you stay tuned into your condominium stuff. The These are great units. As somebody said, they're not building anymore. Nobody's planning on building 60 more units with Ocean View here. So the ones that are here are a very valuable asset. Um, yeah, and I continue to encourage you to find everything that you need about your association on our very well-developed website. I've seen membership in that go up. Secretary Randy Grambulis indicates that's going up. And just a shout out to Randy and how hard he works at keeping everything here also well documented. It's a tremendous amount of work. Both him and his wife, the treasurer Lori, are working overtime on this whole. Well, we all are, but onward, ho surf tides. Look forward to seeing many of you guys at some upcoming meetings. See. All right. Have a good rest of your